Hi, Democrats. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. So today, let me start with this. Today is 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks away from Super Tuesday. We've heard what happened in Iowa, Nevada, and New Hampshire, but we are 2 weeks from Super Tuesday, which is when we vote in the presidential primary. And there's been all this stuff going on, and I just want to make sure that people are paying attention to the election that's coming up. If you haven't requested your absentee ballot, it's too late to participate in the March 5th Super Tuesday presidential primary. However, you can still vote early the weekend before and in person on the day of. This is, it's interesting, for as long as I've been voting, and we say it every time, but this is one of the most consequential elections that we have in our lifetime. This is the difference between democracy and a dictatorship. And that's not hyperbole. That's not a Democrat saying bad things about the other side. That is what the frontrunner for the Republican Party has said into a microphone in multiple ways and multiple times. And so for the people who are upset with Biden about this or that, the only way that you ever get someone in office that you agree with 100% of the time is if you run. So that ship has sailed for the presidential election for 2024. But what I want to ask you is to look at both of the candidates and look at who supports your values the most. You're going to have differences with both of the candidates. You just are. And some of those differences are big and consequential. But what I will say is this. One of them, if elected, you will still have a right to complain about him. You will still have a right to protest in the street about his policies. We will still be able to preserve our democracy long enough to elect someone else. While the other one has said out loud that he wants to be dictator for a day. You know, it's not just for a day. He's said out loud that he's going to install his own government so that he doesn't have to listen to the Congress or the Senate, that he's going to install his own government. One of them has proven, and is proving right now while I'm talking, that he is a chief grifter. Imagine if he once again had the purse strings of the United States, because you see what he's doing when he has his purse strings, his kids' purse strings of the RNC, and all of his gullible donors. We have a real decision to make. And Tuesday, March 5th is on our way to that decision. So that was what I planned to say yesterday when I woke up. Yesterday I woke up, I kept saying, remind people that we're only 2 weeks away from the presidential primary. We're only 2 weeks away from the presidential primary. And then I learned about Next Benedict. I'm just going to barely touch on it because the police investigation isn't over, and we all hate when people come out and say stuff like they know all of the details when they don't. I don't want to be that girl. But what we know is that the rhetoric coming out of the leaders of our state, be it the governor, the superintendent of public instruction, or the majority in our legislature, or the former president for that matter, it is constant hate. It is constant othering folks. The former president has said it is okay to use violence against those that we don't agree with. It is absolutely true that you teach a child in the way they should go, and they'll never depart from it. I am concerned that we are teaching our children hate and violence, because what happened to Next happened from other students. It wasn't on the street and some adults. It was other students who have a TV and who have social media and who have been bombarded with all of the othering, all of the laws that are being passed to say that if you are different, If you are different, it is okay for people to hate on you. If you are different, it is okay to put you in a box and make you feel different. We've passed bills that say you can't teach all of history. There's a bill circulating through our legislature right now that says that if you are Mexican and part of a gang, that our state's going to label you as a terrorist. There are and have been bills in our legislature that says there are two genders, and there are only two genders, and we're not gonna tolerate this other talk. There are and have been bills in our legislature that says we're not going to deal with social emotional learning, making sure that kids feel okay. Because in this instance, I would hazard to say none of the kids involved feel okay. Now, we don't know all of the ins and outs of what happened in Owasso. We're going to wait and let the police investigation play out before we clamor for other information. But for me, Dex's death is a moment that we should all stop and pause and take reflection on the things that we say out loud because the children are listening, on the things that we champion because the children are listening. They are listening whether we are supportive or not supportive, and they're of what we're supportive of and what we're not supportive of. And in this case, some kids heard that it is okay to hate the other and that violence is okay. It's time for us to be careful and mindful of how we talk and to hold folks who are talking in ways that do not reflect Oklahoma values accountable. All right, guys. It's been a heavy day. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 4:15.